All right, and here we go. This is another episode of the Uncivilized Art Podcast. I'm your host, Bumi Hazan, but I go by Bandit Haze in that online space. And today, my guest is Evelyne Brink. I should have. I always forget to check, by the way. Like, I have a bad habit of forgetting to check things because I've known you for a little while, and I guess I just kind of assume that I know how to pronounce your name. But it is Evelyne.
Well, that's almost a German way of saying it. So in
Okay,
English,
so
usually people say Evelyn, or they say Evelyn or Evelyn, and then I say, well, Evelyn is usually my pronunciation Wednesdays past 5 o'clock. But other
yeah,
than that, it'd be Evelyn.
Evelyn.
Evelyn. Yeah.
Evelyn.
But
Okay,
Evelyn,
Evelyn.
it's very in Germany they would say Evelyn.
Evelyne. Okay. So I
Evelyn.
was kind of close
Yeah, you were.
because, you know,
Well, so do you want me
kind
to
of.
call you Bandit Hayes, or do you want me to call you Boomy? Because I've known you
Um,
for a while too, and
oh,
you know.
you can call me anything you want. I'm good. Like you get the pass. You can call me anything. You can call me Bummy. You can call me Bandit. You can call me Hayes. You can call me anything you want.
Really,
Only
only,
you though. Only you.
only,
Well,
only
maybe
me.
not only you, but mostly
Oh,
only you.
okay. Now I'm sharing the position. Or what now? This is going places on the uncivilized
Yeah.
art.
Evelyn, by the way, was the sorcerer in He-Man back in the day. If you remember
Oh,
that.
I
Remember
totally.
the evil sorcerer? She had the coolest name.
Oh, so was sorceress or a sorcerer?
Sorry, I said sorcerer, not sorceress. Yeah, and I'm just
Sorceress,
throwing water
because
over myself. My bad.
Evelyn is a male and female name. I learned.
Okay, I did not know that. So
Yes,
there's
yes.
there's dudes called Evelyn.
There's dudes called Evelyn.
Okay, cool,
Very
cool.
cool ones, obviously, and they
Oh,
don't usually have
obviously.
to be at the end. But anyway.
Well, they don't have the E. Okay, just the N,
Hmm.
no E. Okay. All right, so we're gonna try and talk about a bunch of different things. I would say for now though, I don't want to say it's a different to what we usually do because to me it feels like it's all connected. Like I was saying before, like I know we talk on this podcast a lot about geeky stuff, movies, video games, comic books, anime, and often I'm interviewing people who are in those fields. Um, you're not someone who's directly in those fields, but I do feel like what you do is connected. I feel like things like through creativity, and especially when a lot what you talk about in your business coaching, could be connected. So to me, it all makes sense. Hopefully, it makes sense to people watching as well. But
So
I
people,
can recognize that maybe someone out there is thinking like, well, this may be a little bit different. But you know what? I think we're good. We're good.
and
Um,
you do this on YouTube, right? So people are going to see the visual of this.
yes.
You could overlay a B-roll, as you just said that, with a fish out of water just flapping desperately. It's like all these topics. I'm like, yeah, those are literally not my
Yeah.
specialty area. So this is going to be super fun. Just watch me struggle, people.
Yeah.
This is
No.
good.
No. 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 You'd be fine. You'd be fine. I feel like with everything that you do and with all the things that you're going through, and I won't go into that, but this is going to be easy. You're
Okay,
handling all that stuff pretty fine. This is going to
fine.
be easy.
Well, my daughter's just, and she's 7, so she does know. She's just said that bagels are for geeks, and I just had a bagel. So,
Bagels. I do like bagels.
see,
What's your favorite bagel?
I and my favorite would be cinnamon raisin, but I did have a plain bagel with. I do like a cream cheese and salmon.
Hmm. I can't remember the
Mm,
last time I had a bagel though, but I know there's a place in Brick Lane rather. In fact, there's a couple of places on Brick Lane that do
yeah,
bagels, but there's one in particular that I went to years ago, and I don't remember exactly what I had, but it was really nice. It was
good. Well,
really
that's
nice.
right. Let's geek it out.
So, for those who might not know, tell us a little bit about yourself, Evelyn.
Evelyn, evil Lynn. And in what context would you like me to do that? Because that in itself could take an hour.
Well, I guess we got about an hour.
No, that
Um,
was me talking just about me, and now
yeah,
what to do.
what do you do with yourself? What keeps you busy?
What keeps me busy? I have children. So what keeps me busy? No, let's go. What do I do with myself? So professionally, I work as a impact and business and life transformation coach. So what that means is leaders that are in a position where they really want to step into the spotlight and into their visibility come to me and say, Evelyne, help me out. I need to give a speech in front of Parliament. It can't go wrong. Can you help me? I go, yeah, probably. Yes, let's do that. Or you have business owners that are great at delivering their service, but then don't know how to be human in front of the camera, and they have really important messages to deliver. They come to me, I help them with that. So that's my impact coaching. And then I work with often creative entrepreneurs on scaling their business and getting the best version out of themselves, really living their best life and doing their best work. That is what I do as a professional. It's called coaching. And once you get to know coaches, you'll find that everybody and their dog is nowadays a coach. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I'm using all my expertise in the creative industry to now put things together and really help very established leaders out so that they can go to their next level. So that's what I do professionally. But you and me know each other because we've met on the stand-up comedy scene. I
Yes,
like
indeed.
being funny. I try, not always successfully. But I thought, obviously, as a German female, that would be just a natural playground for me to be in stand-up comedy. Some like it tough. And so that's me. I like it hard. And so I did
Wow.
stand-up comedy.
Wow. I mean, if you could talk about that if you want to, but
I always laugh when you dirty laugh. No, so those of you who haven't seen Bandit Haze and me in the comedy skits, we've done two, right? One in a taxi where I go
yes.
completely bananas over having had good sex with someone, and you get to perv out on that as a cab driver. And then we did a skit of mine, which is called Couples Mediation, and where we're very upset with each other as a we can tell people about that later. So comedy is something that I totally love, and singing is something that I love. I'm a singer-songwriter. I have 5 published CDs. I've had a record deal with Sony Music in the past. I've written my own songs, got them out. I'm an author, a published author. I've written a couple of books. Yeah, what else I do? I don't know. Yes, I have children. I think I mentioned that. They definitely keep me busy. 11 and 7, almost 8-year-olds. Like that's 3 full-time jobs right there, especially as a single parent. And I like to goof around and have a good time, really.
Okay. Well, I feel that's a good introduction. Cool.
That's a good
Thank
intro.
you. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
You still caught up on Evelyne liking it hard?
Yeah, we're well, I don't think we're getting past that, but we're
We're not. We're not.
um well let's go back to the beginning, shall we? Because like I say, there's quite a few things we'll talk to you about, but let's take it a little bit back for now. So what was the moment for you when you kind of realized that there was something you wanted to share with the world? Like when you kind of realized, because you started out in singing, right? Or was there something before that?
And there was
All right.
something before that. Yeah, no, I started really early. I'm one of these people that I used to be a child. Wow. The kind of person where people say, she's going to be an actress one day. Oh my God, she's going to be an actress one day. I'm one of these children that just are a bit extra, or were, but I guess I still am, but I'm not a child. Anyway, just that little extra. So I've always had this thing that I wanted to express myself. And people have said she's going to be an actress from a very, very early age. And I've been in front of the camera first time with 5, and also on a stage. I was 5 years old. I absolutely fucking loved it. I was loving it. So it was always clear that was going to be an actress. And that hasn't stopped, really. I just love the spotlight.
What is it about the spotlight you think that is so appealing for you?
I'm going to be really honest and admit that I do like attention. But there's more to it. It's not just attention. It's that every moment counts. And I noticed that really early on stage, in the spotlight, every moment has meaning. And I love that. And outside in life, you see a lot of mundane, you see a lot of wasted life force. That makes me really sad. But on stage, every twinkle, every blink, every movement of your hands means something. And I love the intensity. So
Yeah.
to me, really, it's about loving life. And I feel a lot of life in the spotlight because it's condensed, because it's the essence.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I do
Relate?
like that you said that you like the attention, because I feel like a lot of people who do these sorts of things like the attention, but don't always want to admit that they like the attention. And I get it. There's kind of stigma with saying that you like attention. And of course there is such thing as too much attention, right? Um, well,
Is there though? Yeah, no, there is.
um,
Yeah, there really is.
well, maybe not too much, but maybe the wrong type of attention, depending on what you're doing, who you're doing it for, and that kind of thing, and specifically why you're doing it. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I like attention, and it's not something you always get in your real life. So you get it when you go on stage and it's like everybody's looking at you, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of cool, and it can be addictive, so there's always that kind of thing about being careful about,
Mhm.
not venturing into that area where you're just doing all kinds of wild nonsense just because you're desperate for the attention. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I do like the attention. I can't lie. I can't lie.
I think it's healthy to admit it, right? And and when I say that, I'm like, but don't get me wrong, exactly. I won't do anything for the attention. For example, I was most known as Europe's premier Madonna impersonator, and I traveled the world singing Madonna and impersonating the Queen of Pop, and I looked like her and I sound like her back in the day. and and at some point, I I met this producer, and he had this idea that we would produce a song called "I'm Not Madonna," and the song was actually quite good. And the idea for the promo stint was that we would find out where Madonna would be at some point, and I would kind of gate crash and jump at Madonna and have myself arrested because I'm looking like her in that moment. Oh my god, and I hated that idea so much. I get this is the whole thing, like, "Oh, we do that, it'll give you so much attention. People will look at you, it'll be such a story, it'll be everywhere, blah, blah, blah," like, just cause a massive kerfuffle. And I'm a very, very clear no to that because it's not just about attention, and it's not attention at all costs, and I think that's really important
Hmm.
because I know there are some people, maybe they wouldn't care, they will literally kill for attention. That's not where I sit. I'm just saying I really love being in the spotlight. I absolutely enjoy it, especially if I have something meaningful to share. Meaningful could be that I'm entertaining a crowd, and meaningful could be that I transform lives, but I'm not gonna just jump a celebrity to get in the media. Like, no,
Yeah, that would have been
isn't.
awkward. I mean, if you got arrested, then you be in jail, and then that's your singing career over, pretty much, right? So it's like,
Maybe, maybe not, but you get a lot of followers, people think it's cool, like,
mm,
people do all sorts of crazy shit,
yeah.
and I don't know, I just it's not for me.
Yeah, and you
I don't
definitely see quite a bit of that now. Actually, some of these stunts you hear, some of these young, well, maybe young guys, some of the older guys doing it as well. But yeah, you do definitely hear quite a few things about people. Whether it's like pretending to mug somebody in a shop or something, or you know, what was that one I heard about the other day? Somebody who went up to a homeless guy and pretended that he was going to give him some food, and he didn't. He just ate the food in front of him, and like,
What? That's
yeah,
rude.
it gets
Yeah.
mad. It gets mad.
So that has nothing to do with art, and what we're interested here is art. It's art for living, and it's
Mm.
the essence of life, and it's making life special and beautiful, and that's what I love, and especially when that comes in condensed form, and so that's where I sit. It's not pure narcissism,
Yeah.
but if I may say so myself.
Just 10% narcissism.
Well, that's actually been one of those, "Oh, look at that, I'm so popular, let me turn this off." Um, it's one of the most, is things that have been occupying my mind, fears, I think is the word. One of those fears. Am I narcissistic because am I an attention seeker? Do I have a massive ego? Like, do I have a problem because I like all this? And I've put myself through quite a few tests. And I remember I said to a therapist once, I said, I think I'm narcissistic because I did these tests and it turns out I'm quite indulgent. I'm quite self-focused. And so, oh my God, what am I going to do? And he said, Evelyn, just the fact that you are worried about that already excludes you from the pathological symptom. Because a real narcissist does not care about that and doesn't even think about that. So don't worry, which I thought was very interesting. So there is a difference between narcissism, which is the pathology, and somebody who is self-focused.
Mm.
And that's really, really important, because people like me, and maybe people like you tell me, when we have this need to actually express ourselves, that's really beautiful and really healthy. But because we're afraid of then coming across as a narcissist, we might hold back. And with that, we actually take away from our gift and from other people enjoying our gift. Because you know what, if somebody, like, if a stage person goes on stage and really lets rip, it's beautiful. It's so cool. You can't be on stage apologizing for liking it. We need you to absolutely love it to bits and give us your best performance. That's not going to happen from a place of like, all right, well, I'm going to try my best, sorry. It happens from a place of absolute yes. So it's not a bad thing to be self-focused. It's just a personality thing. What's that? Yes, Momo, you can have ice cream. Yes. That's so clever. She knows it. Yeah, I'm on a live podcast. She comes with an ice cream. I'm not gonna say no and get a whole tantrum.
All right,
Maybe
gotta
next the
do the
effect
mummy duties.
or the stunt, right? Next time just to get the drama. Anyway.
So with the creativity you just mentioned, actually, so for yourself, was you doing your own songs before the Madonna act, or was the Madonna act before you did your own songs?
No,
And
yeah.
how did the singing start? I guess I should say, really.
Well, that's like two different questions. Let's
Yeah.
get one. So I've been writing my own songs since the age of 13. I think it was 13. Sorry, my nose is really itchy. Hello, people. This is my nose. Uh, yeah, so I had piano lessons, and I remember that I wasn't very good at reading the music. You play piano, right?
Hmm,
And
I'm
my teacher
tinkering.
would say, yeah, my teacher said to me, Evelyn, that's lovely what you're playing, but it's not what it says on the paper. And that was nice. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I do my own thing then. And at some point, I just did my own thing and wrote my own melodies, and people said they're nice. And then I had this music teacher called Gisbert. What a great name. So Gisbert, Gis is actually a note. It's G sharp. So his
Okay,
name
yeah.
is Sharpbird. There's a music teacher called G Sharpbird.
Okay, nice. Well, it's
And he
appropriate,
was
right?
He was a bit of an oddball, definitely a geek. And he gave us the task of writing a little melody that, just wanted to encourage us to be creative. And I wrote a melody, and he was blown away. And so then he told everyone in the school that I was incredibly, insanely talented and was going to be a really big composer, which really embarrassed me, but at the same time, of course, flattered me. So the writing started around year 7 when that kind of happened. Um, but I couldn't sing my songs because I had a dysfunctional voice. So I had around 5 notes to my range, and I couldn't actually sing a lot. I sounded like a rusty water bucket. So in my mind, I would be able to sing things, but I couldn't in real life. I just sounded like this. I couldn't. I just tried to sing. So it took quite a while for me to start singing. That was when I was 17, and I discovered a singer called Patricia Kaas. Do you know her?
I don't believe I do. Sorry.
She's Belgium. She's not as big in she's tried to break through the English market, but it hasn't really worked as well as I think she would have hoped. But in France and Germany, she is massive. Wonderful. I hope my kids are opening the doorbell. I can't do that. And she has a really, really low voice. And so I heard her sing, and I thought, I can do that. And my music teacher's like, okay, she's a really, really good singer. So for someone to go like, oh, I can do that, it's quite assuming. But I went home and I practiced my favorite song from her, which is called Mon mec à moi, incessantly, and then performed it in class. And then my music teacher went, okay, can you do that in front of the school next week? And I said, yeah. And then I did that in front of the whole school. I still have a photo of me doing that. It was my first singing gig. And from that performance, I was the singer. Everybody I'm the singer. It was wonderful. So that's how singing started as a thing. but I still had this dysfunctional voice. So I then had to go and take singing lessons, which were very difficult because I just couldn't do the stuff. And so I had to go on a journey of healing my voice with voice therapy to learn to use my voice and become a professional singer. So I'm a geek when it comes to voice and vocal function.
Okay. Well, I guess you kind of have to be to learn all the techniques and breathing and I guess like drinking herbal tea and you
Oh,
know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Nettle. Yeah, that's it.
How did you go from that to being Madonna? Because
Yeah, right.
like I looked up some of your old videos as Madonna, and you know you've got the hair done and the makeup, so of course you look like Madonna. Um, but and to be fair, I guess I didn't know you, you know, back then, so I can't say what you look like. But I feel like without the makeup, you don't look like Madonna. Is that fair to say?
Um, it depends what you see. So people said that I looked like Madonna from when I was 16.
Okay.
So the first time it happened in Florida, I was on an exchange program, and some guys like, "Oh my God, you look like Madonna," and I just thought, well, whatever. I really didn't make anything of it. But later we pieced it together. When I was in New York, 2000, in the year 2000, quite a few people would stop me on the street and say, "Oh my God, do you know who you look like? You so look like Madonna. You look like Madonna when she was young. Like she lived here. I knew her when she was here. She looked like you." So I must have looked like the young Madonna for people to say that.
Okay, fair enough.
And then some people would, I've had somebody sit down with me and said, "Listen, Evelyne, I've met a lot of people, um, and there's two people I know with this energy that you have, and that is obviously you and Madonna." So some people notice the energy similarity. Some people notice there's something in my face that has Madonna vibes. Not now, people. If you compare me now, look at the young Madonna, and then look at me 10, 20 years ago. And then thirdly, there's the voice. So when I sing, and on my first, I had this record deal with Sony Music. If you listen to it, it does sound like Madonna. I didn't know that at the time, but then somebody said, "Oh my God, you sound like exactly like Madonna." And I'm like, "I do? I guess I do." And so more and more people noticed that, and it's putting those things together that made the how that happened happen, you know? And eventually somebody said to me, "Hey, why don't you do a Madonna tribute act?" And I'm like, it was in Brighton. I was in this cafe. I'm like, "Why would I do Madonna tribute act? Like I do my own songs, you know?" And then I walked off with my tray, and then I realized, well, I'm carrying coffee. I could be singing Madonna songs. And but my first response to that was, "That's cheap, and I'm not gonna do it because I am a singer-songwriter in my own right. I'm an artist. I am expressing myself, and I will not lower my standards to sing somebody else's pop songs. I don't care how famous they are." And then I reconsidered because I thought, well, I'm getting paid back then £3.70 an hour plus tips.
Yeah.
I was making a killing. Um, and my singing wasn't paying very much. Isn't being Madonna, doing a Madonna tribute, that would be acting.
Mm.
I'm an actress. That's a pretty cool role, Queen of Pop, as far as roles go. It's not the girl next door, Queen of Pop. I'm like, actually, if we think about it, it's like the best role you can get. I'd be singing and I'd be dancing and I'd get paid for it. And then suddenly I thought, that sounds like an awesome idea.
Yeah.
Let's do it. From that perspective, it started to make sense. So then I auditioned to an agency to be their Madonna, and they loved me, and you know, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, I did see that you. I mean, you did go pretty far with it though. Like I saw there was it Graham Norton.
Yeah,
You was on this show,
yeah.
and Good Morning, Good Morning Britain
Is it
was
breakfast?
that
What's it called? Good Morning Britain. No, was it breakfast?
or
BBC Breakfast.
BBC
BBC.
Breakfast? Yeah, BBC Breakfast.
And the other one, I was on what's it called? Oh gosh, it's so long ago. The book club thing, really famous. Hello, brain. So it's in the same. It's in the same thing. Judy, something and Judy. What they call it?
Oh wait, I think I know the one. I mean, I know. I know that. I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah,
What's the first?
Not Richard and Judy.
Richard
That's
and
the.
Judy. Richard and
Is it
Judy.
Richard and
Yes.
Judy?
Yeah, it wasn't Richard
Is it
and
Richard and
Judy.
Judy?
Yes, it was Richard
Okay.
and Judy. Yeah.
Because I'm confusing. I think in my mind I'm confusing Richard and Judy with Punch and Judy.
Yeah,
Punch and
no,
Judy was the pantomime, right?
and Punch and
Richard
Judy
and Judy is not the pantomime. Have I
that's the
got that
punch.
right?
Yeah, that's right. Richard
Cool.
Richard had punched Judy, as far as we know, and that was a long-standing TV show for our younger listeners that recommended books and talked to celebrities and people like me, and yeah, very famous. So I'm very proud I was on Richard and Judy.
By the way, the fact that I remember Punch and Judy, I'm kind of showing my age there a little bit. So
Yeah.
I think if
Well,
anybody recognizes, remembers Punch and Judy, just know you old like me. So
we're not old. We're fresh. We're cool.
oh, you're right. You're right. We're classic.
We're
We're uh,
classic.
we're
We're
not getting
vintage.
older. We're getting better.
Nose. Vintage with itchy nose. That's what we are. Well, I am. Vintage.
So you did the Madonna for a while, and um, I think you said in your TED talk, I believe, that you kind of felt after you did it for a while, went quite far with it, but you kind of felt like you had to get back to your own music. And you kind of mentioned earlier that you're an artist, that you've got your own stories and your own songs to tell. Was that kind of something that's kind of kept build up inside you, like we had to kind of make a choice between, okay, I can keep doing this, I can make money, I can be famous as Madonna tribute act, or I can fulfill what I really want to do and go down the route of making my own music and my own songs? Was it something like that, or how did you sort of come out of being
So
Madonna?
there is that, and are a lot of people who are watching this artists so interested in art?
They might be some
They
of them.
might be. So you'll find that when you run when you have an artistic soul, when you are an artist, if you're not true to that artistic soul, you're gonna, I can swear, right?
Oh
You're gonna
yeah.
fucking feel it. Yeah, you're gonna feel that. It's really it really hurts. People get sick, people get depressed. A lot of issues happen when artists don't express their artistic nature. Would you agree with that?
I would 100% agree with that.
Okay, so therefore, of course, after a while of doing this craftsmanship, which is what the Madonna tribute was, I was a great craftswoman. Of course, my soul was calling me back to express Evelyne or Diva Eve, which is my artist name. I needed to go back. Of course, you can't. I couldn't dedicate my life to being Madonna. That wasn't my main art. There was a way to make money as an actress. It's different. So that's the one thing. And the other thing is really practical. I got tired. It's really hard work. I don't know how Madonna does it. It's really hard work. Dancing, jumping, singing around, wearing hardly anything every evening. It's tiring, and it's the evening. I'm not actually a night bird either. And the thought of doing that continuously for the rest of whatever, that did not turn me on. And then thirdly, I was in my 30s and I wanted to have children. Having children has always been a deep desire of mine. I did not see being a performer and having children as a coherent goal, because I want to be home when I need to take my kid to bed. I can't go, "Oh, see you later, bye," and then have them. I was like, "Okay, no, bye. I've got to sing somewhere half naked." Gosh, my nose is really itching. I hope people don't think like, "What's she got up her nose?" Nothing is the answer. It's just itchy. Okay, I'm just an itchy nose today. Yeah, so those were the things that took me in a different direction. I wanted to get family ready. And maybe another one, because I've been coaching since 2000, and then I had my first qualification 2003, and the whole Madonna stuff took off in like 2008 was the show. So I've done it since 2003, and then 2008 I was on the television and all that stuff. Um, what was the third one? No, I forgot. I lost my thread.
Coaching.
Coaching, thank you so much. That just disappeared. I felt that I wanted to pursue the coaching, but for a long time, I felt like a fraud in the coaching space, because coaching is about living your dreams and creating your dreams. And I had dreams that I wanted to live. So I had studied coaching, and then I started coaching people about living their dreams, but yet my own dreams hadn't been lived. And so I was out of integrity there. Therefore, I then paused coaching and went for my own career and saw how far can I take it. And then the Madonna opportunity came in, and I took it internet globally. I took it freaking globally, which is amazing. And then I got to this point where I thought, okay, now I've done that. Can I coach now? Am I allowed? Like, when do I have permission? When am I successful enough to give myself permission to do this coaching thing that I absolutely love and actually happen to have a real gift in? So I have some clients that got major record deals after working with me. People are extremely gain great successes. Like, we're talking 6-figure record deals, not some crappy thing. After working with me for a couple of sessions, I'm like, I have this gift. I absolutely love doing it. When can I do that? And so those things collided, and they made a really good case for me to go, okay, let's be brave. Even though people know me now as this Madonna tribute, let's take a deep breath and come out as a coach. And it was for me really like a coming out. Oh, she knows. It was so, like, I felt really brave telling people that I wanted to do coaching and leave Madonna behind.
Yeah, no, indeed.
It kills the conversation, because if you go to a party or a networking event, people say, what do you do? And you say, I'm UK's #1 Madonna impersonator. You draw crowds, you draw interest. If you go to a networking event, and what do you do? And you say, oh, I do confidence coaching and life coaching. The comment is like, oh yeah, don't we all? I had one guy spit champagne in my face when I told him. That's what I did.
What, like hoot spit or like?
Oh, let's like.
Oh, right.
Because he had seen me on telly.
Oh.
Telly, and he said, so you're going, what are you doing? I said, yeah, I am actually focusing on my coaching now. What kind of coaching? Confidence coaching, in life coaching. And he went, and I thought, wow.
Yeah. Say it, don't spray it.
I should have said that. Oh, where were you when I needed you?
I think I got that from friends. So yeah, thank friends for that. You mentioned about feeling like a fraud, which is interesting. I think a lot of creatives feel something similar when they're going through their journey, especially in the early stages. You're putting stuff, whether you're putting stuff out, you kind of feel like, I mean, I guess it's different reasons for different artists as to why you feel it. But I think for myself, when I was doing more spoken word, you kind of felt like I never studied poetry. I barely listened to poetry or English when I was in school. Read a few poems. I guess I liked a few, but that was about it. And then years later, after never even thinking about it, I'm in these places where people who read books for like the last 10 years and they know about this guy and they could talk about what a stanza is. I'm like, I don't know what a fucking stanza is, and I'm amongst these guys, and I'm just like doing my poems, and people say, oh, that's cool, and everything else, but at the same time I'm like, what do I actually know? And so yeah, I feel like there's different reasons why we feel it, but we all kind of feel something that tells us like, do you really belong here? Or you're just kind of pretending, and somebody's gonna spot you eventually. Somebody's eventually gonna realize that you're faking it. And I don't know, I guess it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing, in a sense that it's a good thing that that voice can make you take a step back and be like, okay, well, maybe there is things that I need to learn. Maybe there's something that I need to do better, but also it could be a bad thing in a sense where if you're listening to me a little bit too much, you can maybe just sit it all out and never do anything, and I guess you kind of find that balance between where do I need to improve versus, where do I need to take a step back and, keep going, and that sort of thing,
Yeah. Yeah, you say something there. So imposter syndrome is a thing. Most of us have it. The more talent you have, the more imposter syndrome you're probably going to feel, because talent is this gift that you've been given from, insert your version of where it came from here, and you haven't worked for it. And so it's weird, right? We have as a human, as humans, often the desire to we need to have earned it. If I work really hard for something, then I've earned it, I've deserved it, I feel more assured about it. And to just be given something, that's huge. So it's a huge thing to be with. I'm like, I don't know why I can do it. I can do it. But am I, can I even do it? Like, it's so easy to get insecure. We're so cute as humans because we have all this insecurity lurking. I
Yeah.
don't know anyone who's doing something worthwhile who's not felt that imposter syndrome before. We all have it, right? Now, if you want to exponentially maximize imposter syndrome, try actually being someone else because you want to feel like you're a fake. I was a fake and I got paid for it. Who do you think you are? I'm like, yeah, some kind of superstar. Yeah, yeah, no. It's the weirdest thing, right? So I'm very familiar with the idea of somebody's gonna spot me. It's like, no, they already know. What?
Yeah.
Wait, how much am I allowed to think I'm like Madonna? Because if I say, "Oh, I look like Madonna, I sound like Madonna," I'm like literally like the closest you ever get to Madonna. That is preposterous and arrogant, and it's not gonna make me very popular. But if I say, "Oh, I don't know, do I look like Madonna? Huh? Oh, really? You think I sound like her? Oh," that's also totally fake because I know I do because I charge people good money for that shit. So, which way, like, how do you play being modest and knowing
Mm.
what you can do? And then I noticed for some people, because like you said in the beginning, well, you don't really look like Madonna, though, do you? Some people don't, they didn't see it. Right? Some people didn't see it, and then it's like, "No, no, honestly, I almost I have to prove to them that I do look like Madonna," whereas other people would go like, "Oh my god, you're so like Madonna." So if I walk in normal life, I don't know whether the person in front of me thinks that I do or don't. That's it. So it's really weird. How do you relate to that? So are we in agreement that I'm like that, or are we not? You don't yet. Okay, don't worry, because and personally for me, I'm not Madonna. I'm very, very clear about that. I'm Evelyn, and in some angles and some ways of using my voice, I am similar to Madonna. But there's like a a sweet spot between her and me, and in that sweet spot, if I operate, people have a really good time because they think they're meeting their superstar or something similar to it. But I'm not. I know I'm not Madonna. So it's really this whole thing of being found out, but I'm already found out, but am I not found out? Like, it's so fun when you have humor and absolutely painful in the moments where your humor goes down the drain because of whatever reason. And it's just painful, really painful. And you're going to have people saying, no, you don't look like Madonna. No, you don't sound like Madonna. You're nothing like Madonna. And then you have to go, no, you're right. I'm not. Because if I was Madonna, I wouldn't be doing Madonna tributes, right? I mean, I'd be making a lot more money for starters. Totally not like Madonna. You know, anyway,
By the way, did
yeah,
you ever meet Madonna?
I have been in close proximity to her a fair few times, but we have never physically met. Only in and that sounds so cheesy, in my dreams. And I sometimes have really lucid dreams,
Mm.
and so I've had close-up experience with Madonna in my lucid dream. That sounds naughtier than it was. I
Well, I mean,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, no, it just I met Madonna in my dreams, so I feel like I have, and maybe it's good that it was in my dreams because she was alright. I have found out in real life when you meet an idol or somebody you think you know, it can be very, sobering.
yeah, it can be. I mean, I think I've been somewhat lucky in the sense that the famous people I've met have been pretty cool. But then I guess I've never really idol well, at least not the ones I've met. Like, mate, I've never really met anybody I've held in like high regard like that. I've met a few people I think. I'm not. That probably sounds rude, actually. I mean, I've met people who I think are cool, but I guess I've never met anybody who I was like a major fan of, as you know what I mean, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the people I've met have been okay, but yeah, no, I've definitely come across or heard of stories and know of people who have met, somebody famous or somebody that they was a big fan of, and it just didn't go so well. And there's
Yeah,
a
so it's
million different reasons why that could happen. Are they an arsehole? Was it just a bad day? Was it just that time? Who knows, right? But yeah, it's a thing.
I've been so anxious about meeting Madonna. Imagine we met and she doesn't like me. And I have an ego too. I don't know if that comes across at all. Probably not. But I'm just letting you know.
Well, we all
I
have an ego, but
have a very, yeah, of course, everyone does. And I like to say my ego is big and very fragile. So the idea of meeting her and then being rejected by her would be so terrible. Now I'm in a different place. Maybe it wouldn't be so terrible. I'd be like, oh, more your problem than mine, girl. I'm okay with who I am, but we're not always that okay with who we are when we're growing up and we do things, So it was definitely anxiety provoking to meet. You know what? I was thinking about going to the Kabbalah Center at some point, and she was into Kabbalah, right? But I didn't dare to go in case I would meet her, and also in case that people would notice that I look like her or would think that I do and recognize me from telly, because I didn't want them to think I'm a stalker or I'm a wild fan and then get in trouble for that. And I wouldn't want her to see me and think that I'm stalking her, which I didn't really want to do, but I was actually a bit interested in Kabbalah. And then I thought it's a bit unfair because she's not even Jewish. And she goes, I come from a Jewish background. I should have the right to go and study ancient Jewish mysticism, but I can't go because she goes. And if people find out that
mm,
I'm going to get it all wrong, nobody's going to believe me that I'm interested in it. And of course, there was appeal in her being it just because it gets so muddled in your head.
yeah.
You just have to go, you know what? Let's take a deep breath and just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. The whole thing. I don't have to meet Madonna. It's okay. When I was on the TV show, Kylie sent the Kylie tribute, a whole Kylie range, which was really sweet. And Madonna didn't, people said, did she say anything? Did she send you anything? Did she wish you good luck? No, she doesn't care. I don't think she cares
Mm,
about her Madonna impersonator. There's plenty of them who think they can be like her. She knows nobody can be like her. She doesn't have time for a tribute. It's like Kylie, she's cute, right? She's like, oh, good luck, all the best, love you, me, me. Madonna, I don't get that vibe from her at all. So I've been anxious about meeting her. Maybe it's good I haven't.
mm.
So
Well, I'll never say never, but yeah,
never
maybe.
say no. I did
Oh,
write her an invitation. I wrote her a letter, Boomy.
okay, yeah.
I wrote her a letter. So she did this play in the West End. I came to see it. No, at some point she did it, but I forgot what it was called. It was really cool, actually. I liked it. And I saw her live in the West End, and that's the closest in that time I got to her. But I wrote her a really sweet letter about what I do and that I'd love to meet her. And if she wants to visit me in Brighton, I'll make a rooibos tea. And my garden is really high, so nobody would see her, and it would be super private. Right? And we could have fun and maybe have a laugh about life. I thought it was really sweet. It's very innocent. And I even bought her flowers. And then I brought them backstage. Yes, because I'm badass. And then as the door opened backstage, and they're like, "You're bringing flowers?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have this little bouquet of flowers, right?" Backstage is full with some big ass flower bouquets that cost more than the monthly rental on my flat in Brighton. And then I
Mm,
was like with my little bouquet and my little handwritten note. I'm like, "Hey, this is from Madonna, from Evelyne.
yeah.
We're really we have some things in common. I think she might like to know." It's kinda cute. But then again, because it is so cute, I would have liked her to answer because it did stand out in how small it was. Might have been nice for her to go like, "Oh my god, what is this weird little bouquet of flowers and
Yeah.
letter? This is so absurd, I'm gonna answer it." Maybe not.
Mm. Oh well. Oh,
Oh,
maybe
well.
she got it and just was like too intimidated. Where it
Exactly.
was
She's
like,
like,
you
"Who's
know
that
what?
person?"
I'm not sure I want to meet Evelyn because like maybe she's a better singer at my songs than I am, and and I I can't. I don't know.
Who
Maybe.
knows? Maybe. Probably not. But yeah, so that's Donna and me.
You know what, though, I heard this saying once, and I forget who said it. So if anybody knows, they can drop it in the comments. But the person said, "Nothing that is meant for you will ever miss you."
Mhm.
So if you haven't met Madonna, then it's fine. Like it's. I mean, I think sometimes we could like we kind of get in our own head a lot in our own heads about certain things about should I do this, should I do that, and we wonder about all the things we could have done or should have done, or maybe if I done this is gonna happen, if I went here maybe this could have happened. And I feel sometimes the truth is just gonna have to look at, well, I didn't do that. I didn't go to that place. I didn't do that thing. I didn't learn that skill. I learned this skill instead, or I did this thing instead. And this is the path that I took. And maybe there's like a multiverse of things that you could have done, but in this reality, this is the path I took. So these are the things that have happened, and that's the life that you have. All the good and the bad and the in between is the life that you've had,
Mm.
and we could wonder about all the things that could have had, but then we'd be missing the things that we'd be missing the present of the things that we do have. So sometimes we just have to be like, you know what? Yeah, maybe it could have been cool if I did this, but I'm here now, and this is pretty cool too.
Wise words there, Bumi. Wise words. And
I
I
have my
really,
moments.
you do, you really do. If we can do that, we are really ahead of the game. Yeah. And would
Indeed.
you, I mean, the more complex your mind is, the harder that seems to be.
What about all the
But being
start
really,
focusing on things?
yeah, being really okay with the choices you've made and the things that happened.
Yeah, no, for sure. And depending on specifics and what exactly has happened, some things can definitely be very hard to come to terms with. So there's definitely always that easier said than done part of it as well, right? You know, yeah, it's like all you've had and everything that's happened to you and all the things that you've done and all the things that have been done to you. I mean, that on some level you have to accept that you can't change it,
Hmm.
and all you can do, or all we have rather, is this moment and the
Oh,
things you do in this moment. You know,
right.
and hopefully the things you do in this moment leads to better things to come, but even that's not guaranteed. So
No,
you just do the best you can with what you have and keep going.
that's right. I love it. I can see a new spoken word or song coming up there.
That just
Very
might, just might. um let's talk a little bit about the comedy now, because I mean I was under the impression now that there was like linear in the sense that you did singing, you did comedy, then you did coaching. That's apparently not true at all. So I guess it kind of goes back and forth a little bit. But you did coaching, then you left that for a little bit. You went to singing, and then at some point you went to comedy. And you mentioned earlier about being a German lady and feeling like there's some humor in that. Was that the inspiration, or was it there's something happened to where you're like, you know what, I feel like I'm pretty funny, and then you
Yes,
decided to do stand-up comedy?
hilarious. I think I'm very funny myself. Yeah. I'm not
Hmm.
sure that inspiration is the word. I think desperation would probably be more
Okay.
accurate. Um, so comedy. All right. I love laughing. I love making people laugh, and as most comedians will tell you, this happened always. Like there's just we just love it, right? So it's always been with me. But stand-up comedy is a very British thing. Is you don't go to well maybe now, but you don't grow up in Germany. I was going to say and think about stand-up comedy as much. But in Germany, we have a thing called cabaret, which is an art form that combines singing and storytelling and observational comedy and sometimes political comedy into one beautiful one-woman show experience. And that is the first art form that I got deeply involved in from the age of about 17. So I've done my own one-woman shows, 17 years old, 18 years old, in a theater. And it included making people laugh at some moments, but not having to, which is great. When I came to England, um, I remember my first conversation with an agent where I said, "Well, I'm from Germany and I do cabaret, and what kind of pay can I expect at a gig?" And the agent would say, "Well, do you take your tits out?" I'm like, No, not what I was talking about." And he's like, "Well, okay, so
Two
what
different conversations.
you just sing." I'm like, yeah, well, I entertain, but yes, with song and storytelling and jokes and, one woman show is like, well, yeah, probably like 250 or something. And I just remember how frustrated I was because I was charging 5,000 in my home country before I came over. So
Wow, that's a
250
massive difference.
it's a big difference. So then the question became, how am I going to get myself on stage and to into a kind of like, on stage and in a status that also pays well, and how do I create my career here? And I found it really difficult to get booked. I had my own one woman show in New York before I came to England. I thought this would be easy. I thought people would love booking me for the stages because I was 24 years old. I'd done all this experience in Germany and in New York City. Like, name me another 24-year-old that could do that. Like, surely you would want me on the stages and it would just work. But nobody cared if you didn't have your own following, which, of course, that was the one thing I didn't have. And so I didn't get gigs. And then I tried to child escaping. Okay, bye. Interesting. And then I tried to get just smaller singing gigs, and they wouldn't book me like in the pubs because I was so overqualified. I mean, I was doing really classy acts. I'm not a pub singer. I'm not a background girl. I do one woman shows. So it was really frustrating. So I sat at home an awful lot, being really sad, and thought, how the hell am I going to get myself on stage? And then I figured out, well, what they do have a lot of in England is stand-up comedy. Maybe I'll just go and do a course. At least there'll be a way for me to get on stage and do something. Because as we talked before, as an artist, you have to get it out somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to get out of stage. It's like a racehorse being trapped in a box. You need to let it run. So it had to go somewhere. So that's why, really, I went and took to stand-up comedy.
Okay. Okay. So it came
Yeah,
out of, well, like you say, desperation.
total
But you did it. I
desperation.
guess you did it for a while because I think when we met, you've been doing it for a while already, right?
So there was this time between 2002 and 2004 that I did that a lot, or maybe longer. I don't remember. And then I s- and then I did less, and then I stopped. Eventually, I went and just focused on work because comedy is, you know, those of you who do comedy, you'll know it's a really frustrating game until you break through.
Mm.
Um, I remember, you know, Henning Wehn. He's quite well known now. Henning Wehn, the German guy. He does
No.
really good. He's on telly sometimes. He's doing really well. So we met in the early days, and we were almost going to do a double act, but he really banks on this whole German thing, and I really didn't want to do the German thing. But he said this very true phrase to me. He said, if you want to go ahead in comedy, you're going to have to repeat your material and get a really safe set, because if the promoters see that you're safe and you can really make people laugh, then they'll book you again, then they'll give you more time, and that's how you build your career. But Evelyne doesn't do the same thing twice very
Yeah.
often. She likes to switch it up, change things around. If you don't pay me, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. You're not going to tell me to repeat the same boring thing. You're not even paying me. So then the stage is my playground. Okay. If
Mm.
you pay me my 5K and you need me to do a certain thing, I will deliver on that. But until then, it's for
Yeah.
me. That's how I see it. And Henning was right in the sense of building a career doesn't quite work like that. So therefore, even though I've done it a long time, I didn't really go very far. I wasn't willing to put in that kind of sacrifice. But yeah,
Yeah.
so then I stopped. Eventually, I stopped because I had to make money, you know. And comedy is not paying you a lot until you go big
Yeah.
places. And I didn't really want to tour in shabby places. I'm a bit posh, and I'll happily admit that. But like driving around through the night and sleeping in shitty places is not what I envisage for a career.
Mm.
So, again, you need to be willing to do that if you want to build your stand-up comedy career. I wasn't, so well. So eventually that kind of died down. And then in 2017, I left my then husband in the family home, and there's been a very difficult time. It's like been a really difficult time for me personally. In other words, I amassed enough anger in my body to say, I don't care about anything anymore. I'm going to go back on a stand up stage and just let it rip. And that's when we met in 2019, when I went back and just thought, fuck it. Let me just go out there and do something, which was it was great. It was a great year. I had so much fun.
Yeah. And indeed, it was. It was. I mean, that was. I. I think I first did a gig probably in 2018. I think. I don't know the exact date, but probably ran about then anyway. And I guess I mean my whole comedy run kind of just happened by a complete whim, and just kind of did it for a while. But yeah, it was a lot of fun out of just being on stage, and I've done poetry before, so I wasn't new to the stage, but at the same time it was a new experience and a new way of delivering creativity, and that was fun and that was interesting, and it's definitely a very different way of entertaining, because like on one hand, like poetry for example, like you do your set, everybody's quiet while you're doing your set, and then afterwards like clap and say congratulations, all that sort of stuff, all right. On comedy it's the opposite. You want them to make noise, you want them to interrupt you, because that's what you're saying is
Now
funny.
you know we're
you
still
know
alive.
when it's silent, it's very awkward, and I've had those silences.
Yeah,
Right,
when it's silence,
it gets very awkward, and you're like um uh like trying to think of your next joke because the silence just kind of kills the mood. So yeah, it was an interesting experience, a definitely big learning experience as well. But yeah, in the end, I think for me it was like the pandemic happened, the
Yeah.
lockdown happened, and I didn't intentionally stop. I guess it was just like at a time when it just wasn't much happening, and then it just went a while, and then I just kind of felt more and more that I wasn't feeling the urge to go back. And on one hand, I don't, let's say, like I was saying before, I don't feel like I'm done with it, but yeah, I just feel like it is for me time focusing, and there's only so much you can do in a certain amount with the time you have. So I thought, let me just focus on a few things, and who knows, maybe one day, God willing, I'll jump back on a comedy stage and
I really
tell
hope
a
you
few
you
knock knock jokes.
I really hope your channel takes off. I mean, I've seen you do so much material on Insta uh, and other platforms, obviously, and I think you just deserve a breakthrough. So
Oh,
I
thank
hope
you,
this takes
thank
you.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope this takes you to the next level. I think you're so good at conversational and observation, and you've got this really pleasant voice.
Oh,
And you wear pink. I mean, what's not to like? So
oh, real men wear pink.
exactly. Yeah, it's great. So if the people are watching this, remember to give this a like and subscribe because Boomy is amazing.
Oh yes, please, thank you, thank you. That would be
Oh,
very
love
helpful. Like,
and the
subscribe, drop a
notification bell.
comment.
Nowadays, you have to ring the bell and put comments in and all sorts of things.
Yeah, yeah. There's a bunch of stuff people can
Oh,
do, and notifications and stuff. I mean, I'll be happy with a view, and I'm easy. I'm easy.
you're too
I
easy.
don't. I don't. Yeah, I don't take much to be pleased, really. So,
Yeah, I do. And so I want you to subscribe to his channel and hit that notification bell and send him some love.
thank you. Evelyn
You're
said
welcome.
so.
Evelyne said so.
And well, actually, speaking of Evelyn said so, I guess that's a nice segue into
That should be
the
my
the
channel.
last time I want to talk. Indeed, it's a good name actually. Evelyn said so. Um,
Evelyne,
that's a
that's
good
my
name for a
name.
YouTube channel,
Yeah,
actually, isn't it?
yeah, mine is just called my name. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe, yeah, it's not too late to change it. Yeah. Hey,
Well,
Evelyn said so.
Evelyne said so. And then you see all these Madonna clips. Two channels actually, but I'm not as consistent. I really admire how consistent you are with these things. I'm not
uh,
quite so much. But my Brink coaching
yeah,
channel.
I don't have two kids to worry about, so I just got nothing but time. Actually, that's
Mm,
not true. That's not true. I do have other things that occupy, but yeah, I don't have the added
yeah.
um um uh uh uh, um
Purpose.
what's, yeah, that would do. Of the added responsibility of
Oh,
looking
that's
after
fun.
two kids.
Yes, yes. I'm very
Uh,
responsible.
but with the two kids, and with your experience with the arts and music and comedy and cabaret and acting and stage, and of course this love for coaching that you've had for a while, and being qualified in that, and then feeling like you wasn't ready to do it, and then coming back to it, and then getting to a point now where I believe this is your full-time thing now, right? Coaching, is that
Oh
right?
yeah, it has been for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, like when you decided to you know, put the comedy aside for a moment, put the well, I mean, I'm not forever, but just for the moment, and be like, I'm a full-time coach now. What was like that decision process like for you, and what was like the main thing that you wanted to achieve with going into coaching full time?
So, great question. I've been in coaching full time since 2009, just to make that clear.
Oh,
That's
sorry. I'm
no, that's okay because so I've done the other things too. Is that true? Is it 2009 or 2011? Well, something around that time. Um, but the stand-up comedy after like when we met was a hobby, not a job. Um, and and the music had to become a hobby too because we have to make money somewhere. And if we don't make it through music, we have to find other things.
Mhm.
So coaching was a really great way for me to generate an income while still using the skills that I have, plus using my head as well. So that was a really great way to create and build a career that was satisfying but also nurturing me.
Mm.
Whereas my art has been me expressing myself, which is wonderful and I love it, but it hasn't been giving me back as much as I give to it.
Yeah, no, I know that feeling. Yeah, I know that feeling.
I have to say that is a very sad reality, especially in England. In
Mhm.
Germany, we treat artists better. So it would have been wise for me to potentially go back, but I love being here, so it is what it is.
Well, I'll
Um,
move to Germany then.
Move to Germany, you'd be surprised, and they love English accents, and
Even
you
better.
might find like, I have friends who are very successful in Germany. So there is that, and the stages are more friendly, and the audiences are not that harsh, they're much more grateful. So you might actually find that you love it. Um, but the process was really about becoming family ready and having something that I can really build on. And that to me is in the coaching world, I can pull on all the skills that I've learned to help other people, which is also something I really, really love, and something that I miss in pure entertainment. Pure entertainment is lovely. I take you away from your sorrows for an hour or two, but your life hasn't changed. And there was actually one gig, and there was still a Madonna gig, but I had a VIP client, and backstage, I was coaching her about her marriage at that point. It was about business, but then they went into marriage, and we did some really deep coaching in my backstage green room that made the difference between, leaving her husband or not. And then it's like, Evelyn, you're on. Then I walked on with my golden cones to sing like a virgin to a bunch of drunk TV executives
Mm.
who then just shouted, "Get your tits out" at me. And I remember that was a pivotal moment where I thought, I think I'm done here. You know,
Mm.
I really, I'm changing a life backstage. And then I go on, people are like, "Ah, you got your tits out. You want to see more Madonna? Can you do Britney?" I was like, yeah, no, thanks. So it was very natural to feel the pull more and more to something that felt more meaningful to me, and admittedly is more lucrative in my case, and allows me to be home and to be family ready. And then I remember I had a coaching session about this where the coach said, Evelyn, it's like you're on this escalator with one foot on and one foot off, and it kind of slowly is going down. And you're going to have to make a decision which way you're going with this. But either you go this way or that way, but you're going to have to move a foot. And I could feel how that split was becoming like, yeah, the
Yes.
stretch was becoming bigger and bigger. And in that moment, it was very clear I need to jump away from performing and just focus on coaching. And that's how it's going to be for a while. Yeah. And like you said before, it's not forever. We can bring things back. I'm sure we will. I'm creating something called Transfortainment, which is mixing transformation work and entertainment together, because music is a wonderful transformational tool. So there's no reason why I shouldn't be doing a so-called show which talks about life and the realities of life and our struggles and how to overcome them and have songs in them. Like, why not? And you leave with a newly created expansion of yourself. Great, that would be fantastic. But again, it's not right now. My children are young. My son has a health condition. I'm pretty busy. Let me do the work that I can do now quite easily, make a massive difference in people's lives, make good money, provide for my family, and then we'll take the next step. Hopefully, I'll live long enough to do the whole thing. And for the rest, there's Botox. Ah!
Keep smiling. Keep smiling.
Still here. I'm still here. I'm
Yeah.
still going.
No, that's awesome. Really, I feel like a lot of life is that for people. Like if you can make a living doing something you're super passionate about, that's awesome. Um, Not everybody gets to do that, of course, which is the unfortunate truth. Um, but if you can make a living doing something that, well, you're still passionate about, or maybe not necessarily your main passion, but still something that you're passionate about, and still make time for the things that you are passionate about, even if it is maybe more of a hobby this time around. You're still doing pretty well. Like
think so. And also, let's not overestimate the arts, because it's sometimes I think people could look at me like, oh, but you would prefer to be on stage, though, wouldn't you? And it's like, yeah, I love being on stage, but not every night. You see, that's the other
mm,
thing. I love performing, but not every night. So coaching, I don't have to do every day, all day. I can, there
mm,
are more control. If you're a performer and you do well, you're on the go all the time.
yeah,
That is not the lifestyle that I want. So I think it's really important to, can I be brave enough to make a lifestyle choice that works for me, even though it might not be the thing that people assume you want,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I get that. The assumption that everybody is chasing superstardom, which is not necessarily the case for everybody. Not everybody wants to be the A-lister,
No,
Beyonce level,
I don't want to do
celebrity. Some
that.
people do.
Yeah,
Great.
very
Not
different. The
everybody
reality of
does.
this is very different. So just because I love the stage doesn't mean that would be a better life for me if I were to make money that way. I don't think it would be at the moment.
Yeah, though I would say that when it comes to how we define success, a lot of times we, as in, when I say we, as in people in general, we look at success as being this one particular thing. Lots of money, fame, status, and that sort of stuff. Which really is only one version of success, and even then, it's only one version of success if that is truly what you want. I feel like what success really is in a broader term is figuring out what's really important to you, figuring
Mm,
out the type of life that you want, that suits you, that works for you, and then manifesting that life as best as you can.
mm,
And that's not always like you say. It's not always going to be the superstar. So it can be. I could do a gig once every whenever, but the rest of the time I'm going to do this because now I can spend time with my kids. I can do other things. I can help people. I could do all these things. So you create a life that incorporates all these different things that you like and it's important to you, but you have the most important things to you closest to you at all times. So I feel like that is a level of success that a lot of us don't achieve, unfortunately. I think a lot of us, because we're so kind of focused on chasing this idea of what somebody else thinks success is, because we've been told our whole lives that you want this, you want that. When are you going to get this? When are you going to get that? You tell somebody, you're a singer, and it's like, oh yeah, so when are we going to see you on Top of the Pops? I'm showing my age again. you know,
I was in line for
but it's kind of like that, and we hear it so much that sometimes we maybe ourselves don't always know what we want because we constantly hearing these messages from whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's just people in general. So we hear it so much for so long that we ourselves don't always fully understand that we might be chasing something that we're not that's not doesn't actually serve us. So
That's right.
like, yeah, I think taking that step back to figure out what is it that I want, not what my friends say I want, not what my parents say I should have, not what my teachers want for me. What is it that I'm trying to do? you know,
Nice.
and then
There you
figuring
go.
that out, and then drowning out the noise, and then working from there. And yeah,
That is it. Wise words. Wise, wise words. Fantastic. So, dear listeners and viewers,
yeah.
take that to heart. You know, and let us
Wow,
know what it
I do
is.
okay. I do okay. um, but Evelyn, I guess we've covered quite a bit with
Come from
you.
ground.
Or would you say there's anything we've missed? Or do you feel like there's something that you wanted to add?
I think all the things that we've missed, we need to add in episode 2, 3, 4, and 5. Um, I
Fair enough. Fair enough.
don't
Yeah.
know. I think we've covered some really beautiful ground, and I love the last things that you said about what success is and how everybody gets to actually create their own version of success, and that is where the freedom lies. So I would love for people to come away with that. I'd be like, you know what? That's true. It's not about do I perform or do I do a job? It's not about that. It's like find out what it is that will make you happy and the kind of life that you want to lead, because some things look successful, but they aren't. If you're miserable because you have to perform, like I was at some point, I thought I wanted to be on the West End and I auditioned for the West End. And then I realized, wait a minute, if I'm successful, I will be playing the same role 8 times a week for a year or 2. That is literally Evelyne's nightmare. I told you earlier how I switch things up. Well, you ain't switching things up on the West End stage. You do color by numbers to the finest precision, and you'll be proud of that. But this system, Evelyne Brink, is spontaneous, and like I do magic on the spot when I get to this place where I just let loose. The idea of doing this 8 times a week, exactly the same way, it would be terrible. So hang on a minute. My greatest success would be my greatest nightmare. That blew my mind, Bhumi. So anyone who's watching that and geeking out on this, give that to yourself to think about, well, what is it that I actually want to live in my life? Not how does it look like? Because I get it's great to say, hey, I'm playing in the West End actually right now. I'm one of these people. Cool. But are you happy? Is that really how you love it? Think about what you want and how that would be. It doesn't matter what people think. And then let's see if you can manifest that version of success. I think that is excellent. The good note to close. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. But yeah, I guess that would be a good place to wind down or wrap up, whichever direction you like to move in. Um, Evelyne Brink,
Boom.
thank you for taking the time out to chat with me for a little bit about yourself, about your life, about your career, and about you, because you are an awesome, amazing person. I'll drop some links in the description where people can find you and check out your websites and your coaching. And I don't know, maybe I'll drop one for one of those old comedy skits that we did together.
Oh, yeah, I'll go with it. I think
I might drop that in there too.
it's
Uh,
so it was, I mean, I loved the way that we improvised half of it. And you were like, I don't know if I
yeah, it was I actually watched that again, just recently, and I was like, you know what, we did all right with that.
we did all right
All
with
right,
that.
we
Good
did all
fun.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. To the degree that so people think like, is that actually were you actually together? I'm like, no. We've never.
Well,
This is us acting. He's like,
good
well.
time. Good time. Just saying.
Okay, all right. On that note,
uh, but yeah, thank you for taking the time. I really do appreciate you coming through and chatting with me. And to everybody watching and or listening, thank you for that. Please check out Evelyne. She does do the points because yeah, there we go. Please check Evelyne. She does some amazing stuff. Thank you, everybody, and until whenever, if ever, peace.
Peace.